It's Tuesday. 2222. Episode 2222 of the PC Per podcast. And has been pointed out, in just a couple of weeks, it'll be a much more full day. 2/22/22 coming up later in February.
But if you're going by military time, in 9 minutes, it's going to be 2/22/22/22.
You lost me at 2.
22 seconds. But it's Wednesday. We're doing this on a Wednesday.
No. 10:22 in military time is 22/22.
Right, but I mean, well, on the East Coast it will be. Right now it's 10:13.
Yeah.
But that's 22.
Yeah, so in 9 minutes.
All right, in 9 minutes we'll start the show again.
All right, I just want to point out that Sebastian is the one that sabotaged this. So that's all I want to say.
We had to talk about it. It's a day that people, for some reason, have made a big deal out of in some corners of the internet. I just thought, anyway. Hey, you can find out when we go live at pcper.com/subscribe. And you can go to patreon.com and become one of our exclusive PC Per patrons.
Some people do this.
They do, and they are part of a community that you have to get in there to believe. The kind of camaraderie that people feel, the way that it changes their life in ways that they never expected.
Yeah.
We have some new patrons. I know of 2 in the last week, and I think Brett might have more. But Andy and Matt wrote us a note and gave us a quote. Should I read it? You want to read it, Josh?
I think Josh should read it because he's
Matt says.
Wait. It's not show notes.
Yeah, just to let everybody know.
Matt Jackson, right?
we practiced this the night before. None of this is off the cuff.
No,
we try to make this sound like we're just riffing, but everything is scripted except for that.
It's very heavily scripted.
And that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt Jackson. Matt says to us, well, he writes to us, he quotes himself and puts it on paper. He says, "Been watching you for a long time, and I love what you guys do, and I'm happy to be able to support you. If you get this and want a message to read out like I'd like it to be my own hot take, since Linus Sebastian is known for his hot takes recently, LTT is dead. Long live LTT. Also, PC Per is Bay."
Yes, we are.
I wrote a note back and I signed it Bay. So
Bay.
PC Per is Bay.
Excellent.
I accept that.
Aaron, I'm going to do the last. Yeah, I'm going to do the last one first.
Oh, okay.
Because this is a repeat offender. I think that's the way I want to put it.
Somebody who's manipulating this segment, I think.
I think it is. For today's prize in blatant manipulation, and kudos to you, good sir, Sir Brogative of Fabrication Labs. He cannot be stopped, and he won't be stopped. There's no stopping this person. So thank you again.
And also thanks to Aaron. It's time.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. Sorry, go ahead. Moving on.
Patreon segment
Thank
over. Let's shift things to Laramie, Wyoming, where Josh will tell us about an experience that he had.
I don't even know what the hell that was,
I'm not sure.
What is wrong with you today? What's going on?
Okay, so
that's in his belly. That's what's wrong.
This is called the Seamus. I was able to eat approximately a third of this, and it is surprisingly deep of tater tots. So Seamus is tater tots covered with white queso, freshly cut roasted hatch chilies, then spread upon it, and then finally, as the coup de grace, smoked pulled pork, all mixed together. And it's if there was a gut bomb, this would be the gut bomb. It's so tasty. Think poutine, but on steroids with even more stuff. It's fantastic. It has that smoky hatch green chili flavor. It's got freshly fried tater tots. White queso, always a fan. And yeah, everything topped up with the meaty, smoky flavor of the pulled pork. I don't know how these people do it, but I can see why Guy Fieri came and visited them, because their food is fantastic. And so there you go. Seamus.
Town?
The episode has not aired yet, I don't think. Has it?
Not yet. It's probably about 4 more months. We'll see it.
Should we talk about Kyle's very long blog post? HardOCP.
I'll point out first that he's late to the game with this, or at least late to admitting it. He admitted it to himself several years back and left the business.
There's a lot of stuff in here. This is Kyle Bennett, formerly editor-in-chief of HardOCP. He still owns the site, so now he's just using it as a blog. And of course, there's still the hard forums, but that's a separate thing. So if you go to HardOCP, there's a few stories up, and the latest one is about the reviewer industry, as he puts it. And he titled it, "Status Quo is No Mo." And if you haven't read this, just go to HardOCP, read it if you're interested, if you're ever a reader of HardOCP or Kyle Bennett's stuff.
Well, but that's the most ironic thing about it, is that his entire point is that you actually won't read this. You would have had to make a video.
This is the. I have a couple of hot takes of my own.
Hot takes. Hot takes.
Not that anybody.
We should have a
cares,
song.
but
We should have a song. There should be a hot take song.
the first argument is that GPU MSRP will go away. I think it's a little reactionary to say that, just because that's what the current market is like. Because right now you can get away with announcing a product and not even announcing a price. Just saying, oh, our partners and retailers will decide. That's bogus. Obviously, there is a price somewhere that a distributor, a retailer has to pay for the product, which is then marked up. That's how retail works. So there is a list price somewhere, and then the store policy, whatever their own internal markup percentage is, gets applied to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think after this all blows over, say Ethereum 2, whenever it goes proof of stake instead of, once you can't profitably mine Ethereum anymore, I don't care about the other coins. Ethereum is the one that people buy graphics cards to mine. So once that is not profitable anymore, or not possible anymore, then all of a sudden you'll have this glut of graphics cards, and you'll need to, be aggressive about price and be competitive on price performance again. One would hope, unless this is just the end.
But we've also made the point numerous times that AMD and NVIDIA are not making the profit on that. That they're selling them to pay people at the whatever the trade price is or whatever the bulk price is, and if someone marks it up 1,000%, AMD or NVIDIA are not going to see that. It's all on the person selling it. So saying that MSRP is gone, it's like, no, that's the base price that people are buying it at, or like the resellers are buying it at, to then sell it. I don't think Josh agrees, though.
That's I mean, yes and no. First of all, AMD and NVIDIA, they've been able to increase their margins pretty dramatically. And with AMD, I mean, they're now finally, they're at a low of, something like 32%. And now they're up to 50. And in fact, Intel has gone up from its 60s down to 50 due to, mainly 10 nanometer or whatever they want to hell they call that now. 7, I don't know. The process node. But so basically, when they sell a GPU, they essentially sell the memory that goes with it. And so NVIDIA, make sure it has, these pretty good relationships with memory manufacturers, and they bundle these things together and they send them off to the card guys. And the card guys, then they have to deal with component shortages, which are still very much a thing. Long lead times of getting those components. Shipping is horrific. All these things that come together to really hurt their bottom line, because we've gone, because we have, pretty good shipping and computers to a lot of just-in-time manufacturing, right? Because that makes the most sense financially, but it doesn't make the most sense when you have potential disruptions. So if something happens, if you've got 100 container ships sitting off of LA that are just sitting there, and you have all of your capacitors from Japan in a certain truck, well, not truck, but container, and you're waiting for them for 30 days to unload that's affecting your bottom line as well. And so there are things that he says about MSRP that I think I kind of agree with, but we just live in such uncertain times in terms of getting components to where they need in a timely manner that it is affecting MSRP. Now, does that mean that when EVGA sends out a card to a retailer, that it's really costing them $1,300 to actually get that shipped? Well, no, because the retailers like Newegg, Amazon, whoever, the third-party guys, they're able to mark that up just because there is scarcity due to 100 other factors before even manufacturing the PCB and getting the heatsink on it. So I think that there is a little bit of some hitting some, like, feeling that high of predictable margins that will eventually kind of come crushing down once supply starts and shipping starts to normalize back. And there are going to be other cryptocurrencies that people will want to mine for. And even if, Ethereum is the big one, I mean, there's dozens of others, and there will still be. And we live in a world where, Google and Meta / Facebook, Amazon, all these guys, they need more processing power. And we're seeing a shift from these guys that they're buying more and more CPUs, more and more GPUs. This is why the enterprise sector is just going insane for both, for all three, for Intel, NVIDIA, and AMD, because all the stuff that we have in our hands and visualizations and mapping and whatever, it takes so much power to be able to serve 8 billion people, 5.5 of which have, some kind of smartphone probably. Okay, I'm pulling that statistic out of my butt. But anyway,
I think it's a good percentage.
I think it's fairly accurate. So yeah, it's we live in a very different world than we did 4 years ago, when video card prices were much more mundane and affordable to people and available and actually seeing sales. And I don't know if we'll ever get back to that point, just because the need for more and more processing power is just, the non-consumer level of how many transistors are allocated to those things is exploding. And yeah, I think I agree with him in ways that MSRP is going to go away in somewhat. I mean, they're still going to set a baseline, but we'll kind of know that baseline when, X amount of manufacturers actually release products that are actually in stock, and we'll see what that price is. I would be surprised if NVIDIA announced MSRPs. AMD looks like they will continue to, but I don't know if NVIDIA will. It's just going to be like, hey, we're going to release this. Our partners may price it, in between $600 and $1,000, but what they do is what they do. And maybe it's not great messaging, but it frees up their suppliers a bit to be able to charge what they feel that they can afford to. But that's, it's capitalism.
Yep. And what's the benefit of them to giving us an MSRP to complain about?
Yeah. Yeah.
If they literally don't give us one, we can't judge it. They lose the benefit of it, where it used to be, we talk about there are SKUs that are $5 to $10 apart and how it's a little bit ridiculous, but at the same time, it's kind of nice that if you're on a budget where it's like, I literally can't spend that extra $10 or $15, I can grab a card that is just tiny little bit below it, and the performance reflects that price as well. It was tied directly to it, whereas now it's how much you got, because this guy over here has got more than you probably. Well, how much does he have? He's got more than you. All right, well, I'll give you 10 grand for it. Oh, all right, we'll give it to you this time. Come back next time, though. And the other hurtful thing about what Kyle talked about, which hurts more because it's true, is the vast majority of consumers just don't care anymore. They want to go in and be told that this card will do what you need it to. Away you go. They don't even know the model number. They don't care what the RAM is. They don't care what the burst clock is, the thermal performance of it. They are just walking in and saying, yeah, I want a shiny computer. Okay, well, what do you do? Well, I play these games. Boom, here you go. They don't even question what's in it. They don't care. And that hurts. I mean, for us that are obsessed with, the bits and bobs.
Come on, Jeremy. You could become an influencer. You could make tens of thousands of dollars a week by influencing consumers with your really interesting stage Instagram posts. Maybe show off a little crack. Smile a lot, do a lot of peace signs, and make a fuzzy filter.
Yep,
you can do it. It's nowhere to go but up.
You forgot charging for a product placement behind me.
Well, not only that, but I was going to install a hot tub in my office.
Some time ago, I think most of the ones that I went to look at anyways, the BTO sites moved away from asking for what graphics card, how much CPU, how much RAM do you want in a particular build. You can still kind of move to that interface, but most of them move towards select the games of which you're playing and at what resolution you want to play at. And we'll spec the machine out for you, and here's how much you pay. That just backs up what Jeremy was trying to say, is the consumer doesn't care anymore. They just want to be able to say, I can play this game at this resolution, and basically the site is saying you're going to be at 60 FPS with this configuration. That may or may not be true. I think they tend to come out a little bit under spec, a little overpriced, but you're paying to have it all put together and delivered ready to go at your door.
Well, I mean, we're certainly seeing maybe not the demise, but the decline of long form review journalism.
Oh yeah.
And something that Kyle made his mark on with some really, really, really solid review products and posts and articles. But I mean, you're talking 10,000 words, and who has time to read 10,000 words anymore? I mean, people can write it because they used to make money on it, but now it's just you have a little small blog, you write a few things about it, you link to some of the marketing materials of NVIDIA and AMD, and you go from there. And it's just, it's influencers. I mean, the influencers are being paid to push products rather than, again, these technical long form reviews, which are just no longer popular. Now, I do have a small theory that I'll quickly. Eventually, everything that is old is new again.
Yes.
And there will be an increased desire for what makes this thing tick from consumers. And they'll see influencers just throwing off these things and fancy, photo shoots and, very popular type things. But, they're, of course, very little substance. But that's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow. It's going to be years down the line where, people will change, and there will be eventually a need for that kind of information, or at least a want. And we may see another, revival of online websites with technical content, both in video and written form, but it's not going to be anytime soon.
I blame the audiobook. It was the beginning of, holy crap, I don't have to read anymore. I can just listen to someone talk. I don't have to put the effort into reading anymore. Because it's not just us. Long-form journalism is dying in pretty much, except for people like us who are very involved in it, and we've got a smaller crowd that is also very involved in it. But for the vast majority, it's like people are not searching for long form reviews, and I don't know how they can do it, because when we're chatting in chat and I have to refer back to the review to see, so what was the boost clock on that thing anyways? Do I really want to jump back and forth in a video and to go back to when he said what the boost clock was? And well, the answer is they don't care. It'll play your game at 60 FPS. Okay, I'll buy that one. I like that.
It's like he made a point. Back in the day, did you ask what chip, what series of chips to do audio video decoding in your VCR?
Yeah, in your VCR, which is a good damn point. I did not.
Yeah, nobody cares. Did the VCR work? Did it hit the specs? Yeah.
Well, first off, it should have been beta, because that is my counterpoint, that we did have strong opinions about VHS versus beta.
I don't know. People did dig into that first generation of HD, DVD, and Blu-ray players. I mean, they had that strange Pentium 4 and all kinds of strange shit. It took like a minute to boot up your HD DVD player.
Yeah. Hey, dare I mention Laserdisc, Josh?
That was analog.
No, let us not.
Still the best audio quality going.
True.
As you know.
Pretty good.
I think as long as there is a enthusiast community who is interested in making use of any and all available add-in cards and components, and as long as there's interest in building it yourself, we still have motherboards, we still have processors, we still have RAM, we still have graphics cards. It's just that a pandemic started, and then throughout 2020, watch the rise of Bitcoin. And towards the end of the year, it got up to 30,000, and then it was close to 40,000. And then all 2021, it pretty much stayed 40 to 60,000 all year, and even hit almost 70,000 at one point. If the bubble bursts, and whether you believe that Ethereum is some magical special thing that has nothing to do with Bitcoin, look at the rise and fall of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's exactly the same. Mm-hmm. It's like looking at a Echo or a Shadow, and if it drops and is not profitable,
it's not a different product. It's just a product at a different price. It's the same. It's the same exact thing. It's just complex math.
Yeah, and the product is going to follow the same timeline. It's just going to be set differently because it came out later.
Yeah, it's like comparing a pine ore to. I'm going someplace different. Never mind.
Pinot Noir.
I was going to do different woods, but that would make wouldn't make sense. It'd be like, so people are expecting Ethereum to be like a mahogany statue, when it's a different statue made of the same wood as.
But Josh, it's all about how you leverage the blockchain. You need to understand. You don't understand. You just clearly don't understand the technology.
What a bunch of
it's all
we're layering our product, and it takes about a month.
There's another uninformed fool on the internet saying that these are not the future of currency, because obviously it is, and as we've seen in the pandemic freak out fueled rise of speculation on a nonsense. Nothing. It's nothing. Any more on this? It's been like an hour. No, only 45 minutes. Okay.
Only 40 minutes.
Since we started the stream, roughly. No. We've only been recording for 32 minutes.
Oh.
Amazing.
How about topic 2, my lord? Topic
2. We heard last week about NVIDIA possibly, this is, I guess, still a rumor, maybe not buying ARM. Well, AMD is getting the go-ahead. They've been given the green light for their acquisition of Xilinx.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sure, why not? It's another one of those names that only works when it's written down. Otherwise, it's what in the hell were you thinking?
Oh, bargain at $35 billion.
Oh, kind of, yeah. This is one of the biggest suppliers of FPGAs overseas. And that was kind of part of the whole thing for the PRC, is that they're still going to want their own proprietary FPGAs produced by Xilinx or Xilinx, or however you want to say it, the X company. So that passed. Department of Justice and the FTC down in the States, however, are also required to give their approval. And the problem is that January 10th was the absolute last deadline for submissions for the time where in between when AMD announced that they were going to purchase them and when it had to be approved. So we've got a couple more days before that window opens again, and they're relatively short. I don't know exactly, but it's weeks to months, not years. So, sometime towards the end of the month, we'll probably find out if they have any issues with it. I don't expect they do. It's not as monopolistic as some of the other buyouts that we've been seeing lately. And it's going to be really big for AMD because the one thing that they don't really have are high-powered computing stuff. Like, they've got some HPC products, but compared to NVIDIA, compared to Intel, that's the one area they're sort of lagging behind in, and hopefully this is actually going to be a big jump in putting them into that sort of market in a year or two. Make sense, Josh?
Yeah. No, it's FPGAs. I mean, Xilinx is a well-run company. They've been making money forever. They have good products. They've partnered with everybody under the sun for things. They make about $1 billion a quarter, and they have 1/8 the workforce that like AMD does. And so, I mean, they're a nicely profitable company that has a very, the market is not huge, but they control a significant amount of it. So it makes sense. I think that they can leverage each other's expertise and go into manufacturing with, better wafer deals just because of the size of the combined company. That it's a win-win for both.
12th gen Alder Lake laptop CPUs. This is, I don't even know why I picked this particular article, because I wanted to see what the performance is like, because we haven't tested it yet. Andrew Cunningham did this review. And I have to say, Andrew, you did a nice job. However, if you look at these charts, you're only seeing the name of the laptop. So I have to go back up to the top, like, okay, wait a minute, MSIG. So here's the problem with long form. I have to read. And now I have to remember, read and retain information, because the MSI GE76 Raider is the 12th gen, but the ZBook Studio G8 has 11th gen 11950H, not the HK, and then there's something else.
There's some weird fruit in there.
Yeah, then there's a MacBook Pro, which at least says M1 Max. I wish these would say like 12900 HK and whatever. Anyway, believe it or not, the GE76 Raider with the 12th gen, if you're looking at Geekbench, for example, single core performance, significantly faster than the M1 Max. Let's look at multi-core.
Impossible.
Wait, where's multi-core? Further down. 23 multi-core anyway. But that's going to be more friendly towards Intel anyway, because of the AVX extensions.
Oh, yeah. AVX 512.
But yeah, if you go down to Geekbench, there's a
here's
wee
the
bit of
multi-core. Okay, yeah. So if this is where Apple is going to win every time until architecture changes. It's close.
It's close in the overall.
21
point
but Geekbench 5 very pro Apple, I would say, historically over the years. This is on mobile and desktop. When I used to benchmark phones.
I've never
knew, like, just how
professionally used Geekbench 5 because it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I appreciate the guys trying to do it, but it's just, anyway.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah, let's move along. There are other reviews out there as well, I'm sure. What is this?
The short story of that Ars review is don't bother to bump up your voltage. It doesn't really do much.
The reason that Intel is building in Ohio and making it like the heartland, whatever, $2 billion. Ohio is paying them tremendous amounts of money in incentives, and because obviously it will benefit Ohio greatly to have the biggest fab there. Apparently it was not even necessarily Intel's first choice. I think they were looking at Wisconsin as well.
It's a serious investment because that factory is going to be there for a long time, and it's going to employ people with high skills who make reasonable money. and taxes will be good for a long time. Just they just need not to kill the golden goose.
Time to move to Cincinnati, is it?
Never
I know some
time
people in Cincinnati
to
area.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
There are some people.
Florence.
Yeah, I think they run a church or something. EVGA. I finally did a news post on this last night. I don't know what took me so long. It's been a few days since they started teasing this on social media, and then they did a press release. It's not out yet. Let's talk about a product you can't buy. Any graphics card. Or this. The E1. What is the E1? The audio podcast subscriber wonders, what are they talking about, E1?
Remember when
stretch to call it a
BMW made a
case.
case?
What was that?
Kind of reminds me of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how come there are only 3 mentions of carbon fiber, 1 gaming rig, and 1 kingpin after all of these years that you've been doing
Tags?
tags?
I know. I wonder if maybe some of the tags didn't survive the site transition or something.
Could
'Cause
be.
it's like
Well, you spell fiber wrong as well.
no, I
that's
spelled
probably
it
in-
the American way.
Correct.
It's the
Wrong way.
American way. All right. The E1, it's a carbon fiber or carbon fibre frame. It's less than 3 pounds for the whole, I guess you would call it enclosure. And then there are these metal posts. I assume they're metal. Maybe they're titanium or something, some kind of ultralight alloy. And what happens is they suspend the motherboard with wires from this frame, and so it hangs in the center. It's wild. It's a gaming PC. It's not just a frame case thing, and it's going to include an unnamed graphics card. I thought that was funny. They only mentioned that's a Kingpin graphics card. So I'm thinking it was supposed to be 3090 Ti, but of course that didn't end up with any more information by the end of the month.
launching yesterday.
It's going to have a Z690 Dark Kingpin motherboard, a 1600 watt titanium power supply, which I said in the nose post, getting those 3090 Ti vibes again from that 1600 watt power supply requirement. And their new cooler, and it's got analog gauges that look like they came off of a bike pump. This whole thing reminds me of a carbon fiber bike. I'm like, this is just like a bike-inspired thing, like a road
interesting,
bike, right down to the cables. Like they're kind of like the brake lines, you know, the shifters. But they have a video about it. It's beautiful, and if you're into this,
Josh, doesn't this remind you of the certain hotel room that TSMC once rented at CES? The one with the
The
swing.
only one I remember is Global Foundries.
Or no, sorry, it was Global Foundries, wasn't it? But you know what I'm talking about.
It was a rather interesting.
It truly was, but there was definitely
Sweet.
some people who didn't understand the whole suspension thing.
Yes.
So, yeah, enjoy this 3D render of a product that's not available. We have no information about pricing. It's just a wild-looking enclosure. I thought, like, not NVIDIA. I immediately had vibes of the InWin D-frame cases, but those are way more material than this, and they certainly weigh a lot more than...
Do you remember the Antec Spider thing?
Yep.
Had a massive fan right over top of everything. When it,
It was almost like open test bench...
yeah.
Yes, I know that one. Okay, Jeremy, depress us, please. We haven't talked about a malware or security vulnerabilities or anything yet this week.
Not for a week.
Yes. Hard
What is
to
it?
catch up, isn't it? Oh, what's this? What's this bundle of joy? Is
BRATA?
it BRATA? Yeah, beat on the BRATA. Yeah, this is a lovely one that's apparently sort of been around for a while, and we just haven't really cared much because it's not been in North America, UK, Italy, Brazil most recently. But what it is an incredibly well-crafted piece of malware that looks exactly like your bank's app. and they do it for different banks. And so if they do a little bit of research on you to figure out, which bank you're probably using, they'll send you an email saying, hey, we've got a new app, please update it. It, of course, doesn't come from the Google Store, but I mean, who cares if your app comes from Google Play or not? It's all fine. And this bloody thing is really well designed. First off, like they handcraft each of them. So, because banks differ from country to country. So each one is done, and it's done exactly like your banking app. It looks exactly like it. But once it gets on your phone, first thing it does is hunt down any AV software that it's got and kills it. And your AV didn't catch it in the first place because it's stuck inside of an encrypted jar when you install it. So the actual program itself is encrypted to the point where your AV is like, yeah, I can't see what it is. Maybe it's okay. Why is it carrying such a big knife? Oops. Okay, now I'm gone. Once that's done, it grabs your GPS. It'll grab screenshots. It'll grab your keystrokes. It will, of course, grab all the banking information that you're gleefully feeding it, and will probably even allow at least some of the transactions to go through so you don't catch it off right away. And then, just to make it even more annoying, the way that it's communicating with the command and control servers is via crap like WebSockets, where your phone isn't even bright enough to realize this could be sort of a bad thing. And once you start to behave as if, you might have started to catch on that maybe this isn't the greatest software and there might actually be a problem, well, you know what it does? It factory resets your phone. So it's gone. It's wiped, along with everything else that you had that you could have sworn you backed up recently and probably didn't. So it's a nasty, nasty one, and it's been wandering around the globe recently. There's no reason to think it won't hit North America any soon. It's going to. It may even have hit, and people just haven't noticed it yet. So yeah, this one is just it's nasty from the ground up. So yeah, don't download apps to your phone from random places. It seems simple.
So a curated app store is a good thing.
Okay.
Yes and no. I mean, as long as it's on the Microsoft Store.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the Microsoft Store is a cesspool. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than the Microsoft Store. Okay, that was depressing. But here's something benign.
Yeah.
JEDEC specs. What could be more benign than that? And they officially have HBM3 specifications. So we've heard about HBM3 before. We've been hearing about HBM3 for like 6 years. But they have official specifications for it now. Double the channel pseudo channels? Okay.
It's multi-threaded, baby.
Multi-threaded memory. Fantastic.
Yeah.
How is this different from DDR5? I haven't really studied DDR5 very much. DDR5 has multiple channels per DIMM. I guess it's just because the way it's
Do you remember the VIA technology of that they did SD-RAM, VC SD-RAM?
Barely.
It's the same theory of technology, is that you can get better kind of interleaving by having virtual channels.
So more channels and virtual channels. So 16 becomes 32 in effect. Look at that, only 1.1 volts. So yeah, because
it doesn't need to run as fast. It's wide. It's wide, baby. It doesn't need to be deep.
Yeah, forget about. That's the great thing about HBM. The width is just amazing. Think back to the Fury X launch. Those graphics cards had unbelievable.
1024-bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How AMD has fallen.
I know. All the way to 64.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cheap shot. Accurate,
but accurate.
But true.
Yeah. No, it's the only problem is have they fixed the price problem? Because I love HBM, but it's not cheap. Hopefully, it's gotten a little bit less expensive.
Well, I think, AMD continues to utilize it in certain products. NVIDIA actually utilizes it in their A100, I believe.
Good point.
Some more, specialized server type applications have been looking into it. So, I mean, it is still growing, but not exponentially. mainly because the interface is so very expensive as compared to, 256-bit GDDR6, which you've got to get your timings and design right, but it's not taking up a huge amount of pad space on your chip. Because 4,000 bits is
Yes.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Just like think. I know it's a different memory technology, but it's just fun. Back when the Fury X came out, it's 4 gigabytes of memory on a 4096-bit bus.
Huh.
It's ludicrous. But
Look at
this
the
is
size of that
2015.
silicon die and
Yeah.
interposer.
It's a biggie.
2015.
There you go. It can do it just because that's so freaking huge.
I like the big ones.
Yeah.
And then just fast forward to 2022, and we have 4 gigabytes of memory, but only 64-bit width. So, ooh. Anyway, cheap shot. Google is in the news. This is an article at Ars Technica. Google relents. Legacy G Suite users will be able to migrate to free accounts. Last week, Google essentially told the free users to pay up or lose your account. Isn't it funny?
Guess who got this email?
You.
You did.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
So this is near and dear, and it's the reason I got it is because of PC Perspective. So yeah, we're actually caught up in this as well. We have a very old account.
Yeah. Ryan was always quick to jump on things, so it doesn't surprise me that we would have had an old
Mate, we had
version.
Google Wave for a bit.
So yeah, this is a little bit personal. I almost started to migrate stuff, and I'm glad I waited because it looks like there's going to be an avenue to continue for very old accounts, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need email. I mean, everything's social now. Just use Snapchat. Companies want to
Occasionally, we
contact
still
us.
use
Like,
email.
just why are you sending me?
I'll see you in the
electronic
Slack
mail?
channel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just slack me.
Grinder.
Can you imagine?
Slack me.
What if the only way to interact with companies was to have them relentlessly spam you in like a PR channel in your Slack? Like, you would just ignore that channel and you would never hear from these people again.
Inconceivable.
I do not think that word means what you think it does.
Well, no, I just get spammed all day anyways, so I mean, I don't see the difference.
Raspberry Pi.
Can't buy it. Life
Well,
sucks.
But maybe you can't.
But
buy
64
it, but you can get
bits.
a new an OS
That's
for
awesome.
it.
Hey,
So what if you're
this
a
is
lucky owner?
This is a good instance of 64 bits.
So the Pi 3, Pi 4, Pi 02W, all flavors can run a 64-bit OS now. But, they have 64-bit processors, so.
Well, they have for a while.
But there was a 32-bit OS. You couldn't get a 64. Well, unless you were brave, couldn't get a 64.
Well, and they did some wonderful things where you could get a program to address up to 3 gigs maximum, but you could run multiple programs at the same time, and each of them could grab a different 3 gigs. But still, it was more an elegant solution to a problem that shouldn't exist in the first place. So, yeah, they've been working on this for a while. It's been in beta for a long time, but as of today, they've launched it that there's native 64-bit, which is awesome because the vast majority of the new programs that run on ARM64 are written specifically for ARM64. They will play with ARM32, but they don't like to, I guess is a good way to say it. So this is, a big, huge compatibility thing for a lot of people. I just wish I could buy one.
Gaming Quick Hits. It's the segment that's sweeping the nation. We have a couple of news bits on the PC gaming front this week. Battlefield 2042. What a novel idea. EA has decided to finish the game instead of just working on adding DLC. Isn't that nice? Maybe they're not going to produce a Battlefield 2042 NFT. They'll actually finish the effing game instead.
Outstanding.
Season 1 delayed.
It's already half off now.
Ouch.
It's only
Seriously.
been, 2 months, if that?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure Cyberpunk 2077
not
fell
going
that
well.
fast. I don't even think that fell
Yeah,
that
it probably
fast.
did.
Did it?
I certainly bought it for significantly less than full price.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if this won't teach you not to pre-order, there's not a damn thing that's going to. For crying out loud. Because that was the thing, is if you pre-ordered it, you were promised the season pass, so you'd be playing your Season 1 expansion right now in a game that barely functions because, as our PS put it, voice communication will soon exist.
We fixed the scoreboard.
Is this not like... Oh, no, Josh, our ping, our ping estimates will be more accurate. Maybe plus or minus 100 milliseconds. I don't know, but because I haven't bought it.
Is there an advantage to using voice communications inside the game rather than just something like Discord? I mean,
well, now because apparently they're also going to make it more rewarding to work as a squad and work towards objectives, which is definitely a totally new mechanic for the Battlefield series. I don't think we've ever explored this one before.
Because it's not nearly as annoying to jump on a random server and somebody starts playing that Wallahi song over voice communication the entire round. Because that's awesome. Just mute them.
Can't get enough of that.
Gameplay.
Sony, in a desperate attempt at relevance, has said, hey, Microsoft can buy things. Well, we can too. In fact, we can buy something that's associated with Microsoft. Sony buys Bungie. You know, the people who made Halo.
This is Sony's version of a hot take, isn't it?
Right. It's like, hey, look at that. We spent $3.6 billion.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe you spent $68.7 billion last week, but we can spend $3.6.
At $3.6 billion, that's just stuff they found on the couch. Really?
That's chump change for Sony. Come on.
Yeah.
They're not as big as Microsoft, are they?
No. But then again, it's a fraction in comparison to $57 billion.
So you think Sony is as big as Microsoft?
I think that they probably make more money a quarter, but their market cap is probably less than Microsoft. He's going to look up some numbers.
I'm fucking looking it up.
Sony's
market cap. Their valuation
I'm telling you, market cap is not the same.
I know. But like we could look at revenue.
It looks like the investors are really happy with this investment.
I don't want necessarily to look up like the last earnings call for Sony to see what their sales and profit were. But
I guess their sales were $25 billion last quarter. So maybe they're not as big as.
Microsoft's valuation is $2.35 trillion. Sony worth a bit less than that. Anyway.
But what is their quarterly earnings? Microsoft quarterly.
Oh, I just said Sony revenue 2021.
Microsoft prints money. They do quite well.
Yeah, they're about double the quarterly. So 51 billion versus 26.
26 bill. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm wrong then. I'm sorry. Darn Microsoft.
Mind you, when you get to billions, does it really matter how many there are?
Yes. It does.
You lose a zero every now and then.
Look, Sony was around making, important hardware devices long before Bill Gates started Microsoft.
Trinitron.
So. Yeah, Trinitron. They were making solid state radios that were the best in the world. They made high style stuff. Remember Sony Style magazine? It was all about the style.
Yep.
And guess who copied their style? Steve Jobs. Everything Apple ever did. Hey, Brett, everything Apple ever did was ripping off.
You can't
Sony.
hurt me. You can't hurt me with your nonsense. You can't.
I can if I drop an old Trinitron on
rip
you.
Off. You know, the theme of this episode has been there's nothing new under the sun. That's right.
It bounces right off me.
Go to Cupertino and you will just see a shrine to the Sony. There's every issue of Sony Style magazine ever printed on the wall.
Steve only ripped off Xerox.
Some of the
and a picture of Ives or maybe a statue.
Some of the pages in the staff lounge are stuck together.
The
ones near the bathroom, I won't tell you why, but they were very interested in Sony Style back in the day. Okay.
Oh Lord.
I posted a review.
Fun story. Sony buying Bungie. That's funny.
Yes, I posted a review today So I can have a 2 review. I was talking about this for a little while. This is not a new product. Why would you review? Why would anybody review a product that came out at the end of 2020 when it's already been replaced? Well, in my
why wouldn't you
defense,
call it the XR2? I mean, it is
yeah.
2.
In my defense, I did not know about the existence of the XR1 Pro when I started this review, and then it was announced last month, and I was like, oh crap! And then I looked and like, well, are they still selling the XR1? No. Should I just not publish this review? So I finally just did today. And here's the thing. You can still buy this product. It's a USB capture device. Okay, Elgato, obviously very well known in this category. USB 3.0 capture device that does 1080-60 capture. That you're thinking probably the Elgato HD60S or one of its ancestors. I had the HD60S. So there's a bunch of these. There's 3 now in the EVGA family, and they have a product comparison. Even though you can't buy the XR1 from them anymore, you can still find it at places like Newegg. This product is selling for $119 right now. After the XR1 was released, they came out with the XR1 Lite. It got rid of the RGB lighting, the physical control dial on the top. It got rid of the microphone input, the analog microphone input. Stripped it down to do 1080-60 capture with 4K 60 pass-through. Not HDR, just regular 4K 60 pass-through. That's $69. The XR1 at around $119 adds some confusing pass-through options. It's really not different than the XR1 Lite, other than the fact that you can turn it off and pass through higher refresh rates and HDR and stuff. And then the XR1 Pro, which, as you can see, everything here is checked off. Like, it does high refresh capture. It'll do pass-through all the way up to 1080 240 or 1440 144. So the XR1 Pro at $150 is a better device. Now, if you can find one of these XR1s, these first-generation XR1s, for a good price, it's actually a pretty good device, as I discovered. It's a USB capture device that'll do 1080-60. It's nothing crazy. It does have some interesting capabilities. Here's one of the little graphs. They show like a use case, and there are there's physical control involved, and you can see how this control dial functions here. You'd have to memorize this, but I mean, I'm sure you get to the point where you just like long pressing does this, and rotating and pushing it to this side does that. And you don't even need to use any software. I didn't use any software at all. I just use OBS. This is an OBS certified device. And look at this. I played some Final Fantasy VII, everybody's favorite PC port of a PS5 game.
I don't think you've read the reviews on this.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought everybody loved the port. It wasn't lazy or rushed or anything. So using that Lenovo mobile workstation that I recently reviewed, I did some game capture. I played for about an hour before I realized what was happening. And I don't know, it looks good. Even these JPEGs taken from the MKV file, taken from my indistinguishable size is what I chose in OBS in MKV format. It looks good, and I didn't have any issues with it. There's just that little bit of latency if you're looking at like the OBS screen. You can't really play any kind of twitchy game if you're streaming with this. You need a separate monitor, which is why it has pass-through. So I was playing on my monitor, passing it through and recording on the laptop. Everything worked great. Wasn't dropping frames or anything. 1080-60 was fine. But here's the interesting thing about this. It has a UVC driver. It has USB video class support. What is that? Camlink 4K. So if you plug in any HDMI video source into this thing, the OS sees it as a webcam. So you can have the best looking Zoom calls that anybody's ever seen. Just use your DSLR and HDMI cable and this thing. You're like, wow, you look like you're in a TV studio. Yeah, I know. So,
yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting. Here's the current picture on Newegg. And the end result of this review is don't buy this, buy the Pro, if you possibly can. Or buy the Lite, because the Lite does the same thing. It's just it doesn't have as many features. It's just if you just want HD60 capture, there's a reason the XR1 Lite is the #1 bestseller capture device on Newegg. It's $69. Does HD60.
Nice.
I paid over $100 for my Elgato HD60S back in the day. So there's at least one category is getting cheaper. And look at this. Who needs RGB lighting effects when it has a mirror finish and will reflect the box behind me, this overdrive processor box?
It's pretty sweet, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Mirror finish products are always
Nice.
popular because they show fingerprints and they scratch easily.
What you need is
small
a set
trial,
of these
so that's
gloves.
awesome.
I'm not sure if you've seen these yet. I might just model them again.
Okay. Someone in the YouTube chat asked, what do you guys think about RTX voice / NVIDIA broadcast?
Why don't you talk about what's
on
going
it
on?
right
You're
now.
listening to it right now because I got
While I
sick of
turn
hearing my
into Mickey
furnace
Mouse.
on the podcast last week as I was editing. I'm like, my microphone is too hot and the furnace is too loud. So I'm using NVIDIA Broadcast. I reinstalled the latest version, trying it. It's time for Picks of the Week.
Yay.
And let's switch it up a little bit. Josh, you start this time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, shock. You
so
know what?
different.
This Westinghouse was available for $199 yesterday on Shuffle, not Newegg Shuffle, but their Flash, what is it called? Shell Shocker. But still, it's a 32-inch VA panel, 2560 by 1440, 144 hertz, FreeSync, backlit LED gaming monitor, and it's still only $240. That's that's ludicrous. 32-inch. I mean, my first 32-inch was a refurb 32-inch 60 hertz Dell 2560 by 1600, and it was $800. Ryan paid for half of it, and I paid the other half because I was doing video card testing at the time. That thing is still downstairs working, and now they're offering for a quarter of the price something far more exotic and much more utilization, and it makes you sad. And it's even got, like, you know, a stand that can go up and down, height adjustable. $240. That's dirt cheap. I mean, yeah, it's Westinghouse, but it's a good panel and it does everything it says. And it's VA, it's not TN.
Nothing wrong
Go
with
out
that.
and get it. It's a nice upgrade for a lot of different monitors. And 2560 by 1440 is not that bad of a jump down from 2560 by 1600.
For a Westinghouse product, this looks pretty nice. It's got like a gamery looking stand on it. Look at this. This looks like an Acer Predator device almost.
Yeah, it's got those silly feet to it.
Yeah,
For sure.
That
Don't
tells you
care.
that it's high end.
They made a
32-inch.
nice 34 widescreen, wide aspect.
This
one
is
as well.
tilt and height adjustment on the stand, isn't it?
Yeah.
For $239,
$239.99.
It's a good deal.
just buy it.
It is.
Tom's Hardware, just buy it.
It's a lot of screen. 32-inch for
It is.
Sure, you can handle that amount of screen.
I just don't think I could handle it.
You don't think you could handle a 32-inch 1440 screen?
Of course, it is a.
I have 34s.
It's a Newegg.
34s, widescreen ones, curved. Those I can handle.
It's a Newegg pick, and if you ask Gamers Nexus what they think,
Josh, are you making a sad face?
anyway,
You're not.
You'll
You're
probably
not
be
saying
fine.
that. You're not saying that Steve has a tendency to be slightly negative about things, do you? Is that what you're saying?
He's a very happy man. Jeremy,
Yes.
tell us about a proudly Canadian company.
Oh, MakerBot. The good thing about MakerBot is that they make really, really high-end 3D printers. The bad part about it is they generally tend to overcharge for them. There are some competitors out there that do almost as good a job and offer about the same support but cost significantly less. But when you get MakerBot on special, all of a sudden it becomes a really freaking good idea. So this is more of a high-end 3D printer. This is not an entry-level one because you're not going to drop $2,500 on an entry level. But for something that you know what you're doing, and the fact that it's got 2 jets on it actually makes sense to you and makes you a little bit excited, this is kind of an amazing deal for however long it's going to last. The MakerBot just came out with the X version, so there is a newer version of it. But essentially, you can grab the actual MakerBot method, which usually goes for about $4 or $5 grand. The Platinum Care, which is usually only sold with the business one, which goes for another $4 grand, for a grand total of $2,500 and change. It's if you are a serious 3D printer and you're looking for an upgrade up here in Canada, this is just a stupidly good price. It's about a quarter of the cost it would be if you bought it off the shelf when it first came out. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've recommended a 3D printer. I finally convinced my brother to get one, which he's just having a blast with. It was a Creality, which is, it's significantly less expensive, much better for an entry level. But yeah, if you're into the 3D printing and you're looking for something significantly better than, what you'll get for about $500, this is it. But don't pay full price. It's not worth $5 grand. It is definitely, with the Platinum Care added to it, definitely worth $2,500.
Brett, what did you find at maxsales.com for us this week?
You spoiled some of my lead into this, which was 3 things that I'm definitely not known for. 1 is picking something audio related. 2 is that audio related thing is from Audio Technica. And 3, that it's from Maxsales.
Okay, who got bingo?
Totally.
Somebody got bingo on the PC Pro card.
And then can I add a footnote that the thing will always be a sale price that only maxsales.com email subscribers got, because then when I actually pull it up, I'm like, this is not even a compelling deal at all. $199.
You know what?
And then you'll say,
you're totally right.
No, but it's only like $119 for me because I got the email. Right?
You know what? You're right. I did not notice this.
You're so predictable,
did not notice.
Brett.
Oh, it happened. I clicked through and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a deal.
Wow.
What a deal.
I spend so much money at maxsales.com and I get their newsletter and I thought everybody got these deals.
All right. So it's honestly, it's the same set I have on. It's the
did you buy it at maxsales.com?
I did not buy these at maxsales.com.
Why?
But the ones that
including your food.
I'm suggesting that people who are subscribed do take a look, is that these are the Bluetooth version of this ATH M50X headphones.
So they're crap,
and
is what you're saying.
For subscribers, they are available at $99. They're half off.
Oh, they're only $99. Okay.
$99.
So if you got the email.
And no, I did not realize, so I apologize if this isn't working. I did not know. It's $99 for subscribers.
Cool. So your pick of the week basically is get on the maxsales.com mailing list, OWC, and they do really good deals sometimes.
Can I do another one?
Yeah, but we got a much better mailing list. No, our mailing list is much better.
I want to do a different one. I want to cut it in later.
My pick this week. Okay, I'm getting tired of the lack of availability of graphics cards because I like graphics cards. And it sucks that you can't buy them. And then the option is, because I've heard some suggestions floating around Twitter and stuff, like, comparing, this recently launched graphics card to this older one you can buy used for less. And then seeing some comments like, well, I don't want to buy used because then you don't know, what's been done to it. Don't get a warranty. Now, I'm not as worried about a warranty, but I totally understand. I don't want one that's been mined on before. I don't know what people have done with it. So buying new is good. So my pick this week is a new graphics card. And who doesn't like new GeForce cards? And you can buy them on the secondhand market. Okay, so I'll just show you. This is a GeForce card, an actual NVIDIA GeForce card that I bought brand new, and it wasn't even that expensive somehow. No, it's not going to play the latest games. I don't think it has DirectX 12 support. I don't even think it necessarily has DirectX 11 support or DirectX 10 support. I think it has DirectX 9 support though.
Will this work on my AGP 4X board? Just checking. Just want to make
yes,
sure that it's
yes, it is.
compatible.
It is an 8X board, but it is backwards compatible. In fact, PNY, this Verto series, they were selling this in a PCI version. I had the PCI version of the GeForce 4 MX440. And the MX440 is a lower end variant. And the Verto series was the more affordable stuff from PNY. So it's not their high end enthusiast stuff. It's what you go into a Circuit City or Best Buy and get back.
YouTube wants a hash rate number. Wants a hash rate number for that. Do you happen to have that offhand, or?
I have never opened this, so I cannot tell you what the hash rate.
Don't step on the dog.
GeForce 4 with its 64 megabytes of DDR memory. I don't think you can even mine.
I can one up that.
Okay.
Oh, what do you got there?
I've got the GeForce 2 MX400 with 64 megs of memory.
Ooh. Look, it's got a remote.
It does. It's the old Hex to see everything. It was the competition to the ATI, All in Wonder. This is
I have an All in Wonder card still.
Cinema.
Oh my god.
Josh, how is that still in the box? That's got to be in your current gaming rig, right? Is that what you're using right now?
Yes. I should unbox this sometime, but yeah, no, I got a GeForce 4 Ti 4600 up there, some Voodoo 5s, and
just Voodoo 5s, anyway. No big deal.
Yeah. Yay, my son's finally grabbing my dog who was barking out back. But for some reason, I thought this was GeForce 4. But it was not. Because the GeForce 4 4400, wasn't that still a DX7 base part that was kind of a supercharged GeForce 2?
But this
claims, for, but I can't find it.
This claims DirectX 8.1 optimizations and support. So...
MX440. Yeah.
The cut down GeForce 4. I don't know how many.
Well, it was DX 8.1 compliant, but it was not shader model 8, whatever. So yeah, but anyway, sorry.
No, it's fine.
My bad.
But the resolution support on this is nearly modern. Up to 2048 by 1536 resolution.
Ooh.
So.
Mm-hmm. Who had a monitor that they could drive with that?
Yeah.
No, I had a 22 inch. I could do that.
Oh, see, Josh was
at only 60 hertz, which sucked.
I was all about lower resolution at higher refresh back in the day.
Refresh, exactly. 1280 by 1024 was.
I would get headaches if I stared at a 60 hertz monitor. I had to go like 85. And if that meant 800 by 600, I didn't care.
Yes. Remember the 85 hertz CRT displays?
Yeah. Hey, they were funky when they first came out.
Cool.
Well, this trip down memory lane brought to you by PCPer, PCPer.com. And thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for watching if you watched the YouTube version of it. Thank you for watching us live if you were with us when we streamed. We'll be back next week to do this all over again. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
It's good night tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, been fun.
Could be worse.